Good evening and namaskar, everyone. My name is Rahul Jain. I'm the Managing Director of InnoServe Group. I'm part of the founding team here at DigitalHR. It's an honor and privilege to welcome you all to this exciting event on broadening and accelerating learning initiative by Organization for Business Impact, hosted by DigitalHR in association with PTI, InnoServe Solutions, a leading L&D partner for corporates, Cobus, a leading employer branding consulting partner, and ASMA, a leading academic community. Digital HR is a growing platform with 25,000 plus members representing 10,000 plus organizations from large enterprises to small and medium businesses. We have hosted 20 plus events in last 18 months, and we are trying to cover broad spectrum of HR aspects to cater to varied interests of the community. With 10 plus active city chapters, this community is growing by the day. Recently, we also started hosting masterclasses on cutting-edge topics for HR fraternity learning and development. I'm glad that our leadership team has brilliant mentors like Runa Maitra, who are constantly encouraging us to do more for the benefit of the community. I welcome you, Runaji, to this event today. We are currently also working on a new product stream to build industry academia collaborations. We invite suggestions on that end as well. We have our collaborator ASMA, which is India's leading academic community, owned by InnoServe Communities again. I take immense pleasure in welcoming our guests today. We have with us Mr. Mussarat Hussain, Senior Advisor, Maruti Suzuki Training Academy, Mr. Kuldeep Singh, Head Talent and Organization Development, MINDA Group, Mr. Manikandan PK, Head of L&D, EquinitiIndia, Mr. Nitin Thakur, Head of Learning and Development, Jindal Stainless, Ms. Ritu Malhotra, Director HRD Academy Canon, and Mr. Venkatraman Girish, Head HR, Smart World and Communication, L&T Constructions. Without taking any more time, I would like to conclude by making an appeal to come forward and contribute to Mission Digital HR. Help us grow this community to become one of the largest platforms for HR fraternity. I welcome once again, and I'm sure that the event will have a lot of takeaways for all the participants. With this, let me invite my colleague Pamela Nandi to take the proceedings ahead. Over to you, Pamela.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rahul, sir. Thank you, Ritesh, sir, for giving me this opportunity. And good evening, everyone, and a very warm evening, everyone. And I'm going to share some brief introductions with you of our eminent speakers of this evening. So to begin with, we have with ourselves Mr. Mussarat Hussain, our keynote speaker of the evening. He is the senior advisor of Maruti Suzuki Training Academy. Mussarat sir is currently pursuing a PhD from IILM Gurgaon and has remained the head of corporate HR and head of leadership and functional school in his earlier role at Maruti Suzuki India Limited. He is a regular guest speaker and various B schools like IIM Ranchi, Jammu, Pune, Amity, Noida, and so on. Mussarat sir has also been honored with Excellence Award 2020 for leadership in L&D at the 21st National Management Summit. We welcome you, sir. Next, we have with ourselves Ms. Ritu Malhotra. Ms. Ritu Malhotra is the director of HRD Academy, Canon, India. She has been a part of Canon for over 16 years. Now, as a director of the Human Resource Development Academy, Ritu ma'am is not only responsible for organization development, product training, and capability development for Canon India staff, but also for Canon distributors and supporting Canon group companies in the Southeast Asia. We welcome you, ma'am. Next, we have with ourselves Mr. Nitin Thakur. Mr. Nitin Thakur is the head of L&D Jindal Stainless, a Harvard alumnus and a TEDx speaker with 21 years of visionary leadership in talent management, leadership development, and learning. As a head of learning and development for Jindal Stainless, India's largest stainless steel manufacturer. He is responsible for building a learning culture that helps employees enhance their capabilities and performance through continuous learning, through functional skill development, behavioral skill development, and leadership skill development. We welcome you, sir. Next, we have Mr. Kulveer Singh with us. Mr. Kulveer Singh, with more than 20 years of work experience, is currently heading the talent and organization development of an auto components manufacturing conglomerate of 16 to 17 MNCs with more than 24,000 employees. He has worked in manufacturing, service, and biotech domains, bringing organizational change through creating the learning culture. We welcome you, sir. Next, we have with ourselves Mr. Manikandan PK. Mr. Manikandan PK is currently working as the head of L&D, EquinitiIndia, and he is an experienced leader in learning development with a demonstrated history of working in the IT sector. He is skilled in learning management, strategic thinking, competency management, social learning, and training delivery. Manikandan sir is also an awardee of Young Learning Leader Under 35, one of the most prestigious awards from the World HRD Congress in 2019. We welcome you, sir. Next, we have with ourselves Mr. Venkatraman Girish. He is the head HR of Smart World and Communication at L&T Construction. He is an experienced head of human resources with a demonstrated track record in the technology, consumer, outsourcing, and related growth industries. We welcome you, sir. And last but not the least, we have with ourselves our moderator of the evening, Ms. Runa Maitra. Ms. Runa Maitra is founder and director of PeopleTalentInternational, a consortium of business consultants from various domains. She has 2 decades plus HR and OD experience in fintech, ITIT, ES, professional services, manufacturing, and retail sectors in India, the US, and the UK. We welcome you, ma'am. And now I would like to call upon our keynote speaker of this evening, Mr. Mussarat Hussain, sir. Sir, please.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, please take it.
May I start? Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. You can start the evening. Yes.
Yeah. Very good evening, everyone. And it's my pleasure to be here. In fact, since I represent auto sector, I like to set the context by giving some, hard figures to set the imperative for capability digitization in perspective. See, if you look at the automotive, there are various mega trends which is actually shaping the society as well as the entire mobility space. And some of the societal mega trends that is actually happening is a lot of climate change issues and environmental degradation you are hearing about, demographic trend, which is the aging population, rapid urbanization you are seeing. Then there is the digital technologies which are actually changing the landscape. There is a rising middle class and rising consumer awareness. In turn, the mobility trend that we are talking about, we talk about autonomous, safer, fatigue-free, connected, electric. Now we are hearing a lot of buzz about that. Shared mobility, which is ride sharing, better asset utilization or congestion reduction on the cities like Delhi or Mumbai. So what is happening is that there is a huge disruption which is happening in this industry. And on top of it, what is happening is that, there is issues like in the last 3 years that we have seen a lot of, challenges that this auto industry has faced in terms of, kind of changes which has happened in the Indian auto industry, specifically like something like leapfrogging from BS4 to BS6, huge challenge in terms of, capability, implementation of technology and so on and so forth. GST was something which came up and jacked up the prices, because pre-GST, the lower CC cars were priced lower. But in the GST regime, all cars are 28% flat. Insurance third party was added, and as you know, Indian consumer are price sensitive. So any increase in price by all these things have really shaken the entire auto industry as such. Fuel prices is, as you know, is always in the news. It's crossed the 100 rupees barrier. So you know how much pressure it is putting on. Now, this is on one side what is happening in the industry, which is important to note in the context that the auto industry, some facts and figures are also important to understand, that auto industry alone contributes around 7.5% to the GDP and poised to grow to 12% by at least 2026. But if you look at entire manufacturing in this country, 49% comes from the auto industry. These are some hard figures I'm trying to give, reason being that just to understand the complexity and the challenges that this industry face. 37 million people are employed directly or indirectly in this sector and poised to grow to 65 million. And India is the fourth largest passenger vehicle market. Of course, in two-wheeler, it is the largest. We are poised to become third largest by 2025. If you look at the GST collection itself, 15% comes from auto industry. So in all, what I'm trying to say that it's a big sector and it's driving the economy, and it's all the more necessary that looking into the talent landscape that we have in this country, what industry is doing in terms of bringing the right kind of talent, developing right kind of talent. The problem is that skills are not available. Today, to run such a huge industry, there is a skill shortage. Now, there could be regular skill which is available, but there are certain rare skills which is not available. And this is where what is important is that to looking into the kind of growth we expect in terms of future, because if you look at the car penetration in India, which is globally, if you look at 650 per 1,000 people own a car, it's a global average. If you look at developed countries, more than 800 people own a car in developed countries. You will be surprised what is the car penetration in India. It is a dismal 22. It was 19 to 3 years back. So it is only 22 people owning a car out of 1,000 people. But we should not be alarmed. That's a good sign. We have more scope to grow in India. And that is why the world biggest and largest companies are, coming to India. But India is a very different game altogether. You have seen General Motor and now Ford exiting Indian market. So there is a challenge. It's not only about product and technology. It is about people, process, the kind of people you have, and your own strategy in terms of the Indian market. Now we have Tesla also coming into the country. The game is going to become even more challenging. The game has really begun now. Maruti has been a market leader for decades. When it started, we had only two players to compete with, Fiat and Ambassador. We became a runaway success overnight, right? And we are proud to say that we have put India on wheels. But the real competition started in 2000 when companies like Hyundai and all started coming in, and that is where the automotive improvements also happened. The people became quality conscious, and that is where India started exporting also, and that's how this sector started growing. And the figures that I have quoted, that's where the Indian automotive industry stands today. Today we have more than 24, 25 players in this country, and the game is ever changing, as you know. Now, the paradigm that I want to share is that, the future of work, if you look at the worker and workplace, all are going to be redefined. What was there in 80s, what is there today is not going to be there tomorrow. So let's be prepared for that. So when we say work, in the space of work, human-machine collaboration is going to intensify further. We have seen automation, we have seen robotics way back in 80s and all. We have seen the kind of automation automotive industries involved into, because we cannot produce 6,000 cars in a day unless we have that level of automation. If we are rolling out a car every 12 seconds, it's not magic. It's the sheer dedication of people and the kind of level of automation that we have been able to achieve. So that's not that easy. It has taken decades to reach this level. But the question is, are we able to sustain it? How we are going to redefine this when the work itself is changing? The new age technologies, how we are going to leverage like AI, machine learning, IoT. The whole industry 4.0 is going to be changed to industry 5.0. What is our adoption? What is our technology adoption? So these will all be redefined. So the digital kind of intervention which is happening will totally redefine the work, and it will be a totally new landscape, let me tell you. Now, when you look at workers, people, when we talk about people, who will be the people who are the future workers? See, talent, when we are talking about full-time, there are skills which is not available in India. I remember 10 years, 15 years back, when we were looking at full body design, we had no such kind of people available in India. We had to source people from outside India. When we started crash, we had nobody in passenger car crash testing who is available in India. We had to get our people trained in Japan, and we are developing. Gamut of, the worker is going to change. Gig is coming up in a big way, and now Government of India is also changing the labor code. So a lot of changes we are going to see in this. And when we talk about the concept like we have been doing, that how to attract good people, how to retain, how to develop good people, will actually change to how to access, curate, and enrich. This is going to happen. And in fact, I was reading this in the World Economic Forum papers, and this is from where I am just trying to share these perspectives, that accessing the talent, curating unique employee experiences, enriching the job for employee satisfaction and growth. This is going to be the mainstay in future. But when you look at workplace, what will be the future workplace, future worker work from? So now we have already seen working from home, and hybrid is the mode which is happening. In fact, in manufacturing, we had never heard of working from home. So still 1/3 people are working from home. People who are in non-manufacturing are very easily able to work from home. And phygital, what we talk about, physical plus digital, is something going to be the mainstay. And we have to work a lot in terms of digital infrastructure, digital security, because these are the things which is becoming very challenging. And there are certain shifts that we are seeing. That one, I talked about technological shift. There is a generational shift and social shift also which is happening in this. Not only here, but these are happening in a very big way. What we have seen very recently is also mindset shifts, which we witnessed during this sudden lockdown that happened last year. We suddenly found that hierarchies have broken. We were used to working in office where, we have cabin and we have people sitting and we are able to control. Today, we are seeing that people are, instead of hierarchy, working in network. I don't know who is sitting where. So instead of controlling, we are now empowering people. So this is a new phenomenon which has emerged, because I have to anyway empower people, because I have to make them productive. I have to make them, engaged. So how do you do that when you are in a network? And a lot of experimentation has happened during this period. A lot of experimentation. Every company has experimented something. One good thing which has happened is that a lot of privacy I had seen earlier. Everything will be in our server. Nothing will be shared. We shied away from giving things on app. Now, what has happened? This pandemic has actually, cleared everything. Today, our contents are on cloud servers, and people have access. In fact, even outsourced people have been given all kind of connectivity, VPN access, and we were shying from giving internet connection to many people, saying that no, if we give internet, they may misuse the facility given to them. Today, if you don't give internet, they can't work. They will never be productive. So these are certain changes which is happening, and what I am trying to say is that in the context of any organization, what is important, when I said you have to access, curate, build, but what is important, one fundamental will always remain, that if you have happy employees, they will make happy customer, and happy customer will create shareholder value. Now, how do you do that? The question is that you have to first get the right kind of people. You have to identify strengths, create right kind of fit. They in turn will become great managers. Great manager in turn will create happy employees, who in turn will create happy customer. If we are able to manage this well, these are enablers. If we are able to manage this well, we can reliably influence not only our sustainable growth, profit, shareholder value creation. Everything is possible, but the problem is that we do not manage our people part. And when I say people part, this includes not only right people, right skill gap, finding what kind of capability development is required for these people, what kind of managers you are developing out of them, what is your career plan, how you are able to retain people. See, one of the good things for Maruti is that we have 4 generation of people working, and we have had 3 phases so far. We started as a public sector, became a joint venture. Today we are a completely Japanese multinational. We have seen all these phases, but what the best part is that our attrition is less than 2%. And when we hire people for lifetime. Why people are able to stay here? The reason is that you have to build that kind of culture, build that kind of infrastructure, give them right kind of capabilities. Maximum people, when I interview in exit interview, I find that, and on all the research paper, they say that my learning curve is not sharp. I am not growing. I'm not able to contribute. Now, these are certain parameters on which every company has to really ensure. And if you are able to actually do that, these are the people who are going to become great managers. And as I say, in Maruti, we hire more than 90% people from campus route. Only less than 10% we hire lateral, that too at a junior level. We do not hire as a policy anybody mid senior or senior in our core functions. And that is the differentiating factor between Maruti and competition. What differentiates Maruti from competition is its people. And I'm in fact, in all forum, I'm proud to say that, in fact, the entire auto industry is actually driven by even ex-Marutians. So I'm happy that we are able to produce talent which is actually driving this industry. How do you do that? It cannot be done overnight. It has been a journey. And it has been a journey where, starting from competition of 2 companies, we are 25 companies are competing with us. Still, we are market leader by miles. But having said that, it's not possible that, until unless we change our stand, we do all things required. If in 2030 we have to still retain 50% market share and be the leader, then we have to really be doing something different. We have to be the game changer. We have to actually initiate things much in advance. So we do a lot of action planning, at least 10 years in advance. So for 2020, we were planning in 2010. For 2030, we are already planning. And not only planning, but executing. So you have to be ahead of the competition if you really want to, fulfill your strategy, or if you have a kind of a strategy map for future. So that is something which comes to my mind. But coming to L&D, when I said, when I am talking about the people perspective, and I said when people is the key differentiator, way back we decided that since people are our key differentiator, we need to create a different kind of capability building for not only our people, but for the entire value chain. Because just ensuring capability or things like that for our people will not help. We have to carry along the entire value chain. So what is happening is that we created something called Maruti Suzuki Training Academy. Now this training academy is like a corporate university. So in this corporate university, we have 4 distinct schools. And these schools are, one school is leadership and functional school, or leadership and behavioral school, as you can say. The other school we have is called technical school. In technical school, we have center of excellence, finishing school, lot many center, dojo centers. These are all hands-on high-tech centers for creating technical skills, functional skill for our 4.0 manufacturing facilities, including all trainees who are coming in. The third school, very big school that we have is called vocational school. Because as I said, even blue collar talents are not available for shop floor. So there is no readiness in ITIs or polytechnics. So what we do is that we have, we run our own courses, which supports not only Maruti, but our vendor companies. And in this, what we do is that it's like a earn while you learn kind of a concept. And we have more than 10,000 people actually participating in this. Then on the dealer side, we run a lot of courses under various schemes, which is both for sales as well as service. In fact, in sales, we have now started a new course. It's a new NSQF that we have partnered with the ASDC and done. It is called BBA Retail, Auto Retail. And we have started with 2 universities. Third is going on in the process, and we have plans to start this all over India. So because there is no talent available, readily available, which is in auto retail. So this is something which we have done. And in fact, for the service advisors also, we are working on a kind of a diploma from Polytechnic, which will have which will have this service advisor diploma with a specialization in service advisor. This is going to help again the auto dealership, especially in the area of service, where there is a lot of difficulty in getting the trained people. Because our success is dependent on the entire value chain, both upstream and downstream. If our vendors are not capable, if our dealers are not capable, we will not be able to create that winning formula. Now, other than that, we also run school, we also run polytechnic, we also run ITIs. So we have many ITIs which we are running, and we are having courses mapped to the auto industry requirement, and we have given all kind of facilities under our CSR skill. We run Indo-Japan centers. We have started an automotive skilling center in Ahmedabad also. So we are doing all possible thing in the domain of what you call automotive. In fact, we, as a CSR activity, we even run driver training institute called IDTR. You must have seen in Sarai Kale Khan in Delhi and many other states we have. It is a PPP model. We provide, the state provides the infrastructure, we run it and provide, and central government is also involved. This is because, when we are in automotive, we have to ensure that the skilling of drivers is also good, because you see so many road accidents happening. So that's our initiative in the area of what we call driver training skills. But when it comes to the other areas that we are running, is one is overseas training and Japanese school. So as you know, a lot of technology and other expertise that our people get, we have to send people to Japan and other countries. So our academy also manages that. And that's the construct of the academy. And we have more than 200 people directly and indirectly working in our academy. And we are spread all over India. and we are trying to create whatever best possible now that we have entered into collaboration with Toyota in a big way. So even in the space of skilling, we are partnering with Toyota in a big way. And you have already seen cross badging, which has already happened. Our Baleno and Vitara Brezza being sold as urban cruiser, and Glenza, you will see many more such collaboration in future. But that's an exciting phase. In fact, we are working on hybrid, we are working on many things, but all this is only possible if you keep on sharpening the skills of the people, get the right kind of people, engage them, build them, and get something which they are more interested into, rather than pushing things. So all kind of such variability you have to create in the workplace so that you continue to create that winning formula. And as I said, game is going to become tougher and tougher. So we need to, re-innovate, rebuild ourselves each time. So what got us here will not take us there. So we are very much, knowing this fact, and we are preparing ourselves for that. So that's all I have to say. And I wish this program a good success. And I am sure that a lot of deliberation will happen in the space of L&D and other areas. So good luck to all of you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Pamela, if you can take it proceed it further for inviting Dr. Runa Maitra, please.
Yes. We can now invite our moderator of the evening, Ms. Runa Maitra, to take this webinar ahead.
Thank
Over
you,
to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much,
Thank you, ma'am.
So, a very good evening to my dear participants, and welcome to all the speakers. And we're all mesmerized with the powerful keynote address by Mussarat Hussain sir. And sir, if you're still there, I'm trying to actually look into the gallery and figure out that if you're there, definitely it will be great. Before I begin the next conversation with our eminent speaker, there's a question for you, sir, from Dr. Simi Khurana, and we are really, really thankful to her for asking this question and bringing in the vibrancy. Unless you already have covered, because I thought you have, but it's an acknowledgement to our dear participant, Dr. Simi Khurana, that she specifically asked for a certain skill. So would you like to enunciate what you already mentioned, that how you develop this skill set post skill gap analysis? It will be great to address ma'am's question.
There are 2-3 types of skills you should understand. There is a hard skill, there is a soft skill, there is a business or generic skill that we talk about, right? So for the hard skill that we are talking about, I talked about COEs and Center of Excellence, finishing school. And then there are hard skills like mechatronics, autotronics, 3D printing, modeling, AI, machine learning, robotic process automation, cloud computing. So all this is something which is, we partner with companies, and there are global leaders who work with us, and then we have all this in our finishing school. But as far as, the soft skills are concerned, this is one area where, lot of work goes on. In fact, very short, let me tell you, is that what we do, we have a very robust competency framework, very, very robust. And what we do around the competency framework, we do development center, we have been doing assessment center, we create potential performance 9 grid, which we follow very religiously for all categories of people for various kind of talent management process. Because see, when I said our prerogative is to build talent rather than buy talent. So when we follow this principle, it is imperative on us that our talent pipeline is always intact. How do we create that? How do we ensure our talent pipeline is really worthy? So that's why the onus on ensuring that we have a trained and a developed talent pipeline is very important. And that is the reason that these kind of processes, these kind of assessments keeps on going. And in our company, there is no concept of training calendar or things like that. We have a L&D framework. We have a framework where from entry level to time of separation, people have to mandatorily go through certain program level wise, band wise, function wise, and there are multiple types of mandatory programs that within a duration of 2 to 3 years, they have to go through. And these are programs related to, and all are, in fact, even all these programs that we do is a competency based. So our behavioral competencies plays a big role. The functional competency that we talk about, so we follow that same 70-20-10 principle of learning. So the 70% of learning which is happening actually on the job. So the onus of the function, department, divisional head also becomes very important, because when the people are put on the job, the real learning comes there, which is more to do with functional. But when it is leadership, or when it is senior leadership, we have a tie-up with global universities, top universities in India, where they go for corporate immersion from time to time. The best part for Maruti is that, which is again very unique, is that all our leadership and critical position has 2 leaders. So there is a 2 HR head, 2 engineering head, 2 quality head, 2 manufacturing head. You will be wondering, how come 2 heads? We have not heard of that. Yes, so one is an Indian, one is a Japanese. The Japanese bring in the global perspective. The Indian, they have their own skills, operational skill, their planning skills. Together, they make a deadly combination actually. And that is the reason that we have been able to create success stories. But it is very important that, and we do a lot of job rotation, which is actually not happening in many companies. So our HR head is an ex-IT guy. The production head or the engineering head is actually a supply chain head earlier. So there is so much of job rotation and cross function that you will be highly surprised to see that in fact, in my training academy now, the head of training academy is a guy who is from quality actually. And if I go to Juku, which is the Japanese training center in Tokyo and Hamamatsu, most of the guys are actually from sales or manufacturing. In fact, there also the HR head is the actually chief engineer who has come and moved into HR. So that formula also works. And that brings in another perspective, or looking at things from a different perspective altogether, because our mind is trained to look at a thing from one particular way from last so many years. But a guy who is from a different function altogether, a different country altogether, he starts looking at things differently, which you will be highly surprised the way they look at things. That's the other dimension that they look at, which we never thought. And that is why that is also a very, very good thing that we keep on getting those kind of input from those colleagues who come from Japan. But our focus is both on hard, soft, business skill, and the skill inventory is continuously getting updated. And with our collaboration with Twitter, I'm sure that it will go to much different heights and all. So that's what I have to say about all these skilling part that we do.
Thank you so much. In fact, looking at you and the entire, group of speakers, I really feel it's like a bouquet of amazing flowers. It's like almost, I can't say it's a garland because I have to look for a pendant then. So, but obviously you're all gems of the industry. And I was actually, reflecting on a quote by Nelson Mandela, that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And I was thinking that all of these change makers are sitting in, on this webinar, and I'm 100 to 100% sure that we started with a bang with so much thought leadership from Mussarat San, and we're extremely excited to listen to all our eminent speaker. We already have 2 questions lying in Q&A. I'm going to hold that because those are very, very strong questions, and there'll be a lot of views from you. But the most important part, the kind of conversation we had earlier with you, that how do we really share all your knowledges, all your experience, all your great work you have done in your entire career. I can't say in your current capacity. When I was listening to Kulveer, that what he's done in his previous organization, when I was listening to entire 16 years experience of Ritu, Girish, Mani, oh my God, such a youth leader Mani is, and he's like, you know what, don't underestimate youth, all right? That's the attitude with so much contribution. So I'm not stealing the thunder at all. So I'm going to request each one of you to do a keynote, and you can use PPT if you want. You can just go extempore. So no such barrier. Our audience is hungry to learn always. We have great audience each time we do a webinar. So thanks once again to Rahul, Ritesh, Pamela, and Rahul D. There are 2 Rahuls. So that's our address, Serve team and Digital HR group. So all of you have given us this platform. So there's an excellent opportunity to take away loads and loads of learning for today. So I think I'm going to request Nitin to begin, because on my screen, you're the first one. I can see next to me. So it's very, very, and there's no order. So I'm just going to request you, because Nitin, what I believe, the kind of measurable areas you were discussing about how do you link L&D with business, which is the current scenario. If you look at post-pandemic, how L&D has come forward, how we have put together integration of learning and management programs in the organization, which is like so prevalent. So I think we are super excited to know how you balanced the overall functionality which you have seen traditionally. What is it you have done differently now? And so I'm sure in your keynote, you are going to share that. Over to you, Nitin.
Sure. Thank you, Runa. And thank you very much for inviting me here. So I think one very important thing that everybody is agreeing to and is understanding very well is that without learning, it is not possible to survive. It is not a choice, because it wasn't only because of Corona, maybe the speed has increased, but there are so many things that you have to continuously train your people because new things are coming in, especially related with digitalization, technology, new softwares, probably new processes, or some of the industries are facing a drastic shift in the way things were done. And the only solution you have is making people learn by the way that you are getting the productivity from them. So there's also a popular word that learning should be part of the work, should be in the workflow itself. And that is what has happened. Certainly that has changed a lot. So one very important thing that I would talk about with regards to learning and development is, a lot of times as HR, as L&D professional, we say that we don't get budgets, we are not on a priority for the business, the other things come up, XYZ. I think the first and the most important thing for every HR and L&D leader is to partner with the business leaders, the CXOs, MDs, and get the learning in your main strategy. So if you have your management running a business, their strategies probably would be revenue or EBITDA or cash flows or digitalization or probably some new initiatives, new business line, all great strategies. But think about it, if they do not have a strategy of learning, all the other things would fail, because it is not possible to survive and run in all directions without focusing on the learning part. So that's number one, that it is business that we are doing. So instead of thinking that I have programs, I have to run behind people and force them to do it and do my man hours and band days and man hours, and we are doing good. Instead of that, I think we have to think differently. Instead of mullah going to the masjid, let the masjid come to the mullah. Let business come to us and say, this is the program we want to do. Let us make our life miserable through their request, rather than we pushing all the time. Let them push, because they are in need for help. And I think that changes the whole thinking process for us. on one side, we are thinking that, oh, how do we make people learn? Maybe people are already learning. We are not just doing the things that they are learning about. So you asked what different we've been doing. I think the biggest thing that we've been doing is focusing on changing the culture. If people take the responsibility to learn by themselves and they can prioritize this, our job is simple. Then we are a facilitator versus trying to push them with content and things like that. So that's from my side. Runa, over to you.
I was ensuring social learning, so I was tweeting and capturing your thoughts and ensuring the whole world learns from it. Although we have loads of people through Facebook and other streaming they are doing on social media. So whatever you were saying, I was typing. So so that was a delay. So amazing. I think that's a great start, Nitin, and I think you have a lot more to share because you actually talked about how to even look at linking ROI with L&D and many aspects.
Yes.
So I'm going to come back to you. And
Sure.
Yes, from you to the youth leader, why not? So so amazing conversation we had with money, and you can bring a lot of energy to the conversation to continue the energy which we already started with bang. So Money, over to you. Thank you so much.
Hey, hello, hi. Very good evening to all of you. Good morning, good afternoon if you are in the other part of the world. And thank you, Runa, for the introduction. And kudos to the others who already spoke. I'm already excited to be amidst of you people. Now, enough of speaking about me. I would like to quickly show a slide that I generally show to anybody who asks me, what do you really do in your can sharing be enabled to me? I would like to show one slide. Hey, great. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm going to share this. Can you see? Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can. Beautiful.
Just look at the screen. The left-hand side of the screen is purely a lost frame, and you see a poor man, who is aspiring to move from level 1 to level 2, and the level 2 is, unfortunately, it's at the peak of the mountain, and he has to hold the red flag, and he's just wanting to move in the path, and then he's confused because it's dark, it's woody. So much of confusing signboards, and he doesn't know how to go there. Many organizations, learning and development avenues are like this. They simply say, or if you are trying to say that, hey, you know what, we have this vendor, we have this external certification, we have so much of classroom training program, we have this, okay, fine, you have so much of things. What should I take if I have to move from level 1 to level 2? Just speak to me. So that is what a learner needs. A learner is very hungry. He doesn't want to spend so much of time because he's already aversive to learning. At least for the sake of moving to the level 2, he has to learn. That's so practical. So if the learning path is like the gain frame that you see in the right hand side, you actually say, if you have to move to level 2 in your career, you need to have 5 skills. And how can you accrue those 5 skills? Take up courses like, okay, if you take 1 to 3 courses, that may help you to gain skill 1. If you take course from 9 to 10, that may help you gain skill 4. And if you take up all these courses, and if you think that you have all these skills, it is very easy for you to climb up. And all the loads are the entire path is lit up. So he's not going to be confused, and people are going to really handhold. Who is going to handhold? It is you, the learning and development person, the HR person, who is going to handhold. So if your learning and development provision is made simple like this, then it's going to be a success. Very simple. And so what could be the underlying fabric of this entire structure, this clean learning path? Have a clear vision. What are you really going to focus this particular year? And how are we going to actually meet those vision? What is the real mission? The feasible mission? Ultimately, we all speak about the SMART goals. And please, let's ensure that we have this SMART methodology to ensure that we meet those objectives. And I would also like to share another slide quickly. So what could be those modern learning trends? I've just given it all in one single slide. Provide e-learning platform. Probably people would love to learn in an e-learning way. Or somebody would say, hey, no, not just e-learning. I would like to, taste every food because I love buffets. Okay, so I'll give you a blended learning solution. Take a little bit of classroom, do a little bit of book reading, do a little bit of classroom, do a little bit of virtual classroom, do a little bit of book reading. So yes, blended learning solution. Okay, and help them with the monthly calendar programs, which people might be interested to do with, and also mention the roles against which the course may help. That way, the role-based learning is the basic strategy that may help. And action learning methodology, it's a big concept. I'm not going to speak much about it. And have some self-learning initiatives that any learner can just pick up on his own pace and speak. And have this coaching and mentoring as avenues as well. And KTV, this is how I call the initiative in my organization, because I always believe that videos processes human brain 60,000 times than it does text. So a little bit of video learning, yes. Multiple skilling, ensure that you're not very selfish to make your people learned. Please ensure that you also fulfill their aspirations, fulfill their dreams, so that you future-proof their career, even if they go out of your organization. Have a pool of trainers so that you can have a club within the organization, which can also act as a cost-saving methodology. So we call an Equinity as Equinity Knowledge Club. Social learning, of course, a classic example of social learning is what Runa, Maitra, and InnoServe does. We are all social learning. We are learning from each other. So social learning, have communities, have some like-minded people gather in the community, share their knowledge. It could act as an informal learning way. Language, when it comes to India, language, is a challenge. So how are you actually going to help them with their English enablement? And books, do a little bit of book campaigns and ensure that you also do performance consulting programs so that you actually arrive at the outcome of the key programs that you do, so that you actually make the sponsors happy. And beyond all of this, ensure that you incentivize the learners with some nice learning and development awards. So one award can actually help most of you. One rolling trophy learning and development award to the departments. If you have certain parameters drawn to the rolling trophy award, then ensure that, or encourage your business units to see if they are able to meet the parameters, and then the trophy keeps moving from department to department, and you create a healthy learning culture. And all of this, not just for the sake of doing, please ensure that you do this need-based learning curriculum, and it is oriented, and all of these are oriented towards the need. And ensure that you also assess, measure, and evaluate on a time-to-time basis. That's all I want to say.
We promise to our audience that is, it's going to grow towards a magical point where all of us would not like to come back. So that's exactly you're doing. You're living up to the expectation of our participants, and one after other, you are really, really striking that. So what a beautiful, insight. And thank you for the hard work you do, because that slide was so powerful. And as I said, I'm already doing social learning. So beyond this webinar, I've already tweeted, and I think I've linked, with your tagged you properly. But I'm sure a lot of our participants are also doing screenshots and keeping it with themselves. So don't worry, we are recording this event, and we're also streaming. So keep on referring to this lovely conversation we are having. So powerful, my goodness. So Ritu, let's add some women power in it.
Thank you, Ruma, and really exciting event. I didn't want to talk. I wanted to just keep listening. But let me just share a bit of my thoughts around the entire space of learning. So, very interestingly, I was hearing a few days back that never before has the pace of change been as fast as it is these days. And never in future would the pace of change be as slow as it is today. So, and imagine if the rate of change outside of us is faster than the rate of change inside of us, then what will happen? Right? So, idea is how do we keep up with the pace of change outside? And of course, one thing that really helps is technology. But technology in itself, it's nothing. Technology is, basically it's all about the ones who drive the change as people. And if we believe and if we have faith in people that they are basically good, they are basically competent, and if you give them the tools, then really magic happens. And, as I thought and connected all the dots, it really came down to one of the guiding principles that we have in Canon. We call it in Japanese, it's called Sanji spirit. So Sanji spirit basically means self-awareness, self-management, and self-motivation. It's the three selves. So when we established HRD Academy in Canon in 2014, we really weaved this Sanji spirit as a core part of our learning strategy. And we said people first, technology second. So, the HRD Academy in Canon has a little unusual structure as compared to most of the corporates. So we actually brought in product trainers from which traditionally resides in the marketing departments to the central team. So along with behavioral, functional, culture builders, we all got it together. So it's a large pool of trainers and facilitators who work and coaches who work very closely with business. And this is a team who was, used to traveling the length and the breadth of the country to tier 2, tier 3 villages, towns. I had not heard of the names of these, places when I saw the travel clients, for example, reaching out to me. And one shift that we started doing at that time is started investing in technology-enabled learning. And we saw a lot of advantages, for this. And, we started with something as simple as LMS, mobile learning, but we still felt that people believed in classroom learning. For product, it was all about demonstration, the hands-on. For softer skills, it was about conversations, that happens in the room about a concept that's just been taught to them. So, but we still continued. But, what happened and what helped us was that when the lockdown happened last year, the very next day, we were conducting virtual trainings and, and we were doing in a way that was really, really engaging. So, we as our organizations have not just believed in activities, but impact of those activities. We are not doing learning for learning's sake. We are doing learning for a purpose, the purpose which meets individual goals and the purpose which meets the strategic goals, both. So what we did was that the learners first had to learn. So we got our entire team together and we trained them on virtual facilitations. We learned about, I'll share my screen here. We learned about 30 plus tools, which kind of made, can you see the screen? Is it visible? Yeah. So we kind of share these 30 plus free tools that would make the experience of the learners not replacing the classroom, but almost like a classroom. We also learned aspects like, how do the ideal duration, group size, how to change the content for virtual delivery, make it bite size. And we didn't learn the hard way. We really went to the classrooms and learned ourselves first. The content that we created had to be contextualized to the virtual environment. So we created lots and lots of very powerful and very, very simple tools that were built in-house and at no cost. Some of them were small cost, of course, but we really created these job aids for people to follow that Sanji spirit, as I had mentioned in the beginning. So this helped us in speed, cost, standardization, personalization, short, efficient, and of course, when people want to implement implement something, they don't have to rely on their memory. They can use the job aids And let me just maybe share the glimpses of some of these tools. For example, one of the tools which we very commonly use is like a 3D demonstrator. You can really see how a product works. So it's a standard immersive learning and demonstration tools that our salespeople said was awesome, especially in the virtual working environment. So we created lots of such tools. We went back to our sales, back to basic like design thinking principles, go back to your customers and find out what's your pain point, what's your gain point, and how can we help you? And once we understand what they are feeling, solutions come from them. And that's what we did. We also created lots and lots of in-house bite-sized content videos. Now people may say, oh, we are Canon, there are camera companies, so we could create, but honestly, anybody can create videos. All you need, we used our internal employees as anchors. We took out our cameras and some awesome content, and people had a lot of fun creating those content, which was engaging. We had, like I said, very, very simple tools. We had configurators, we had questions asked to come to a specific model, what to propose to a customer with no mistakes, no reliance on memory, comparison between products, calculators for the total cost of ownership, cheat sheets. All these are very, very useful job aids that we kind of created for which helped the salespeople, the service people who are out there on the field. So we did that, and all this was put up on 3 platforms. We created a portal called Learning at Workplace. A lot of things was on self-learning, like I said earlier. So many webinars happen, like the one that is happening currently. There's so much for every functional programs. We curated them for roles. We curated them for levels. We put it up there and send it to the relevant groups of people. There are so many external MOOCs. We said it's a sea of information there. We don't want you to spend time finding out what's relevant for me. We will curate it for you. So we did a lot of curation from our end. We created all of these tools, and we said, learn yourself also. It doesn't have to be facilitator-led. It can be led by you. We put up lots and lots of tests. Some 10,000 people in our organized, our company, our partner staff, our regional staff went through some 200 different kind of assessments. So you go online, you check your knowledge, you check your skills, get instant results and a developmental input. So the self-assessment was so powerful. It was like at your fingertips, something that the new generation would really kind of resonate with. And then, of course, we had coaches and we had mentors and we had trainers, and there are calendars, we still have them, to help people if they prefer that route. We had a mobile app and we had e-learnings that kind of also supported that entire piece. And this entire thing are just platforms. What really enriches it at the end of the day is the content. So, content is like an intellectual property. And, one of the things about content is that I believe that a lot of people suffer from, let me use this term called curse of knowledge, which is that the knowledge should reside with me and I'm the expert and I like people coming to me and they want to be in the spotlight. And we said, no, it needs to be democratized. And Mani spoke about social learning, and we said it has to be out there with people. People need to know what exactly, are my team members going through, how can I help improve the content? So we, created content which we documented meticulously from good morning to goodbyes, all written down. We said, go through it. You want to change it, help us change it, improve it. So all that really helped in improving what we did and how we did. And that's one part. That's really about, how do we leverage technology? But the second most significant thing that I really want to talk about is beyond technology, which is people. And one of the significant strategy for us was to build something like an internal coaching culture where people grow people and not HR being the custodian of people development. So we have like 60 plus internal coaches who are coaching some 200 plus internal cross-functional coaches. It's great for engaging people. It takes care of their need and it's cost-effective, way of developing people. So people ask us often does internal coaching work? Yes, it does, as much as external coaching does. People ask us, does virtual coaching work? I said, yes, as much as face-to-face coaching does. So that's been our experience, with coaching. And it's so important, I felt in today's time, that people have this, to have these internal coaches, because in general, people have this tendency to suffer internally and not ask for help. So, the research says that only 5% people ask for help. And so what we are, and rest really kind of try to figure it out themselves. So what we are hence trying to achieve is, get these support systems to help people really help themselves. So our belief is give them the resources, create an environment, and let people take their own ownership and own accountability to learn. And that's been our belief of Sanji spirit, and that's what we continue to build. Incidentally, I was really happy to hear Mussarat sir, and he said, Canon also, we have an option of buy or build talent. We like to build talent. So we don't buy talent, we build talent. And that's something that we hold closely to our hand, to ourselves. And that's what I wanted to share with all of you, and hope it added some value to the learning process today. So I'll hand it over to Runa back, and thank you for the opportunity for sharing.
Thank you, Ritu. And it was very, very powerful learning process, which you have practiced. And I was tweeting about your Sanji spirit. It's so beautiful. And I shared your screenshots with your comments with a lot of my WhatsApp group. They're excited to know that what a fantastic methodology you applied in your organization, Canon. I think when we talk about best practice of an organization, and we have a lovely audience, Dr. Simi ma'am, these are perception, talking about Maruti, talking about Canon, talking about Jindal, talking about MINDA, talking about L&T, talking about EquinitiIndia is not advertising the organization. My humble request, please do not look at that as at all, it's the way we look at it. If I have to talk about my company's practice, where do I go? Do I talk about pseudo stuff? Or do I actually say with my methodology, how do I look at my organization, employees, products, production, and the practices? When we discuss that with our outside world, my dear friend, and Dr. Simi, and also all our beautiful participants, that's not advertisement at all. So this is my request, that try to see the essence, the hard work. I said Ritu has worked in Canon for 16 years. And I know her for almost 2 decades. So the amount of work her entire team has done, that is what we want to showcase during this webinar. That is why we are bringing the knowledge to the outside world, so that the social learning, which Mani talked about, happens. We learn from best practice, not only buying a report, not only buying a book, we also learn from digital media. I think with that, I would love to go to a great thought leader. Oh, Girish, you're somewhere. So I thought we'll end with a bang with Kulveer. Kulveer is very, very powerful in his style. I've seen him many times. So Girish, you and I had a lot of conversation about learning and development. Unless you want me to go to Kulveer, because I was super excited to listen to you next. And I'm sure audience is also waiting. So Girish, over to you. I think loads of stuff you have, again, from on the similar line, which Nitin talked about, but with a lot of new energy when it comes to your experience with your beautiful organization. So we are extremely eager to learn from you. Over to you, Girish.
Hi, good evening. Okay, there's some drilling work going on here. I guess it's after office hours. So in case, hopefully, I won't get interrupted.
No disturbance. We are absolutely clear. And you have used headphone, no background noise. Thank you. And let's continue.
Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to be really focusing on what's been happening the last 1.5 years. I think we've all seen an increasing pace of change and a more dynamic business environment over our careers. But really, this is really like the icing on the cake, right? So what's happened the last 1.5 years has redefined our lives. It's very hard to see us coming back to normal, and it's very hard to visualize what that normal would be like. So in that context, some of the experiences that we've had, particularly in the learning space, I like to share that with you. So the first one, of course, was this with the whole move to virtual and the fact that we couldn't go to work. That was hard for everybody. But some of the past organizations that I've worked with have been in the outsourcing, IT, business process outsourcing. So there we're used to a virtual environment. Currently, having worked since I'm working in an infrastructure company, this is real stuff, right? So we deal with brick and mortar and people, and literally building stuff in front of you. And how do you go virtual in an infrastructure company? So sometimes it's hard to fathom. But I must tell you that our sites were functioning both through wave 1 and wave 2, and so we needed to kind of enable them and allow them to perform, as well as allow our regular work to go uninterrupted in this virtual mode. Particularly for the learning space, the real challenge, of course, is, and I'm going to focus more on the second wave. The real challenge was in terms of getting people's attention. But the scarcest commodity in an organization is really the attention span of your employees, and with this whole digital age, and with all the challenges that we're facing now, how do you capture and retain your employees' attention, particularly for learning purposes, in a time when there's so many conflicting demands on them. So there's a Microsoft survey which is often quoted saying that the attention span of people has come down since the popularization of the smartphone. So from 2000 to today, they say it's come down from 12 seconds to 8 seconds. And there was a famous Time magazine article which said that you now have a attention span which is shorter than a goldfish. Okay. Yeah, that reminded me of Finding Nemo, and there's a character called Dora who literally forgets and restarts every few seconds. So while it's not that bad, so what's actually happening in people's lives? So you have people working from home. So that's a fact of life. So work and life, when they're segregated, it's easier to kind of focus your attention, but with things blurring, it's a fact of life. So the conflicting demands, different kinds of decision making, longer working hours, more companies working globally with odd time zones. So all these are making demands on us. We think we can multitask. It's one of those things that illusions that everybody thinks they can multitask, but they can't. Ask your spouse. He or she will tell you that. And so this is making it very hard much harder to deliver conventional learning experiences, because learning cannot be multitasked, right? It's not about sending a memo or giving a command or doing stuff. This is something which requires a very high level of attention. Typically, learning would probably be one of those tasks which requires the highest levels of attention. So what can you do about it? Well, some thoughts and some learnings. One is, of course, go back to basics and create engaging learning programs, which are captivating and require or demand the attention of your participants. One of the things that you can do is kind of, we can't run programs, long format programs as we used to. So try to move stuff to an asynchronous mode. So try to do stuff offline, whether e-learning or micro-learning or books or other content, presentations. So try to move stuff online rather offline and into an asynchronous mode, so that synchronous training, that's time when people are together, is limited to energizing collaboration, communication, those kind of activities, right? Because it's so much more precious. The fact of life is that there's going to be a lot more testing. Okay, so trust in God, but verify. So in that spirit, we need to incorporate a lot more testing and quizzes, not just at the end of programs, but through it. Virtual training is so much harder. You have network latency issues, people logging in from smaller towns and remote parts of the country in our case. And in some cases, you see the name, but there is no participant behind it. So there are absentee participants as well. So, how do you manage that with a gentle, loving velvet glove that HR is known for? So, so those are some of the things that you've learned to kind of come to terms with, particularly micro learning. So, at L&T, we kind of started toying around with micro learning a couple of years back. And I can say that this is a concept whose time has come. Okay, so when we started off about 2 years back, pre-pandemic, and we found it fun, engaging, and it was a quiz-based. It's a platform that used quizzes as a primary means of engagement. So people loved it, and there's a lot of competition, especially among the younger folks, to kind of to notch up the highest score. But to be honest, it's really in the pandemic phase that we've leveraged microlearning to a maximum. And I think it's here to stay. It's not a solution for everything. It works well when you're dealing with knowledge, topical content. If something is very complex, or it's about behavioral changes, or collaboration or reflection, then obviously this is not the format for that. But we've learned to put out more content on microlearning, and we've learned what the format can be used for, and its limitations as well. Okay, learner agility. So you have to learn and unlearn and relearn. So it's really getting very exhausting. Okay, so what can we do to make this process of unlearning and relearning easier for our staff? Really getting to greater emphasis on live practice, testing of skills, repetition. Okay, and what else? Yeah, some of the other thoughts. As we go, as we get into global tie-ups, and when you tie up with these large content houses, training organizations, and suddenly you have a problem of plenty. Okay, so sometimes you have a bunch of training programs. As a large conglomerate, we have a ton of training out there. Okay, and it's like saying this. You're sitting in a large library, and it's like. Like you're saying, just read something, right? But that's not the way. That's not the way we learn. That's not the way we kind of consume content in our personal life. 20 years back, when I was a kid, or 30 years back, we would walk into a theater without being exactly sure what movie was running. But imagine today watching a movie without knowing what it's about, right? Similarly, unless the learner has a clear idea about what the program is about, not just the topic, but whether it's good or not, right? So today it's the age of reviewed content, whether it's a book or a magazine or an article. We really rely on. There are a lot of jokes about WhatsApp University, but why is WhatsApp so powerful? Because somebody has curated that content and has put it out there. So good, bad, or ugly, you know what to expect, right? And suddenly you get into this LMS and a bunch of 10,000 programs with nice sounding English names, but you don't know what it's about, right? So we need to build in that element of review, recommendation, and curation to help people to navigate to the content that is of value. So thought leaders, experts, they're going to play an important role. in sifting the the useful few from the large many. What else? Okay, we also spoke about so as we started migrating to virtual virtual mode of training, the first instinct is to just migrate whatever you do in a classroom setting to virtual mode, and then we realized that was really missing the whole point, because there used to be a term popular about 20 years back called re-engineering, so where you kind of reimagine things based on the current reality rather than just the past. So I think there's an opportunity to re-engineer learning based on the opportunities of the new virtual format. For example, we used to have a class which had about 25 to 30 participants, classroom style, and then when we went to virtual, we just ran that again with 25 participants in the virtual mode. But at some point you ask yourself, do you really need to do it that way? Can you actually split up the learning experiences into that part which is which is more facilitator led, which focus on the trainer, and then the collaboration part, and break it up into smaller groups, and then when you do that, you could have maybe 100 participants in a class, right? So it's an opportunity to kind of reimagine the way we deliver learning experiences rather than just moving virtual and keeping it all the same. Pretty much that's that, and I think pretty much have covered my thoughts. So glad to participate in the Q&A that follows.
Thank you, Girish. Extremely deep, and I think I love the correlation of Dora, the lost, and coming back. And I also thought about what Mani talked about, how we get lost and how do you define it. I think that was very, very well thought out. I actually love the way you talked about learning is not multitasking. I think we all live that, and you are all gurus. You are heading your division with lot of strength, and your capabilities you're building in the organization. Girish, so much thank you, because we are so proud as a country. L&T Construction has done wonders to our nation. So we are extremely thankful to you and your people who are actually helping us to grow in our infrastructure, and people like you who are enabling them all the time, and with such beautiful thoughts about how you created the journey in terms of with energizing collaboration, with right amount of communication, and having the spread for micro learning. Wow, I mean, I think really helpful to learn, and loads of people I'm sure is actually noting down like me and they're going to use it as a best practice. Now, as I said, that a friend of mine, Kulveer, has loads to share about his capability, how he's done in current organization, previous organization. So, Kulveer, set the stage on fire.
Okay. Hi. Good evening. I hope I'm audible. Hi, Runa. Could you please confirm? Am I audible?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So thank you, Runa, for making my life tough by inviting at last, because almost everybody has shared everything which is there in learning and development space. Okay, that was a joke only, bad joke probably. So point is this, we started this evening with a fabulous keynote by Mussarat sir. Mussarat sir, what he did, actually, he created a broad canvas when he started speaking about the economy, business, and how the changes in political world, economic world, then social world, which we can say demographic changes that is impacting our work culture. And then he created a beautiful linkage between changes to the workplace changes and the requirement of their skills. That was amazing. Then Ritu, who shared with us what tools, techniques, and what all methodology she is using at Canon. And then we move towards Manikandan, who shared with us like how to help a learner who is lost to get an exact way of learning himself also. Nitin spoke about business, how to connect your learning and development initiatives with business. Until unless you understand the pain of the business, you cannot design a wonderful program. And at last, Mr. Girish, he shared beautifully what all can be done with the help of learning and development. So some of the pieces which are coming to my mind, which I'm assuming that most of the participants, viewers, those who are investing their precious evening time with us, I'm going to share those things, Runa, if you allow me. So I would love to speak about the intent a learning and development guy should have in his mind. So I would begin with double loop learning. What is this double loop learning? What do we do at the workplace? We have a problem or a challenge. We do something to answer that challenge or to answer that problem. We get success or we get certain feedback, and we change ourselves, our way of working, and once again move in that way. Double loop learning says, in the first place, take a back step. Think about why this has been demanded like this only. For example, one of the quality heads in one of my organizations said, Kulveer, please create quality consciousness amongst my people. So I just sat with him and asked, from where this need is coming? What is that which made you think like this? And why do you think like that quality consciousness is not there? No? So taking a step back, what is not working? What 3 key things you want to see by any intervention which is going to decide the success of that intervention. So if we are having that intent in the beginning itself, probably we can start our journey to find the ROI. I believe no, no seminar, symposium, or learning and development can get away without talking about ROI, return on investment. Okay, so fine. So begin your intent with double loop learning. Challenge the assumption from where it's coming. Believe me, sometime the kind of demand which comes from the businesses, means business heads or function heads, they are going to have entirely different meaning for them and entirely different assumption what they were carrying in their mind. Hence, challenging assumption is very, very important for all of us. Good enough, I heard about social learning, and that's fantastic. I would urge all of the participants go and Google a term called Psyche Model, S-E-C-I, Psyche Model, which is one of the best models to explain how you can understand social learning and implement in your organization. Okay, so Psyche Model is S-E-C-I, which speaks about how to socialize certain knowledge part which you want to be understood by your people in your organization. Then how to externalize, with what kind of platform you can create to externalize them. Then how to combine knowledge from different quarters which is coming back. If that taking feedback mechanism is not proper, then social learning is going to have the breakage. And then to internalize, okay? Socialize, then externalize, then combine and internalize is going to complete the whole loop of social learning. You can Google, you will get a lot many research papers on that as well. Otherwise, if you need to understand how to implement, probably you can be in touch with DigitalHR, which is doing a great job in the field of serving the HR fraternity or L&D fraternity in a great way. Okay, second thing, if we understand the fundamentals of design thinking, then it's going to unburden unnecessary baggage which L&D people are carrying on their shoulders. Meaning by we create many of the programs based on our own assumptions, okay? And the person who is asking us to create certain intervention or at the larger platform, if you are converting or developing your organization as a learning organization, which is the necessity, as Mussarat sir shared, that how VUCA is the word, and COVID proved that to all of us, if we are not empathizing with various stakeholders, okay? So in design thinking, people believe that we are working for the client, but as L&D head, we are working for various stakeholders. We are probably participant is one of the beneficiaries, not the stakeholders. Your real stakeholder is your business head. Another stakeholder is the function head. Another stakeholder is the head of the department who is interacting with you in order to find the solution of a challenge which he is facing. As Nitin rightly said, if we don't understand business, then designing anything is not going to be fruitful. Okay, coming back on design thinking, empathizing means you are not only understanding what is being articulated to you, what is being sought after, but how do you understand unarticulated need of the most important stakeholder. You can Google, there is one tool which is called FSDP, 5-step discovery process. So with the help of that, you can empathize with people logically and intuitively. You can balance the need of your various stakeholders by designing a beautiful intervention for the same. When I say beautiful, every intervention is beautiful which serves the purpose and helps that problem to be solved. So first thing is empathize. Then you are going to design or co-create things with the people, those who are looking for it, means with the various stakeholders. Okay. For that, you must have a tool, the combination of tools which I used in my life and got a lot of benefits. You must know, as of today, all L&D people must know the art of facilitation. Okay, meaning by when you're designing, you go inside the room with the stakeholders without having any kind of content in your mind. And when you come out, you should have the outlining of the content in your mind written by the various stakeholders. Okay, that is the most beautiful thing. If you learn various tools which are around DICO models, meaning diversion and conversion, there may be around 30-40 tools you can find. So you write down one thing, DICO model, which will help you finding the tools to co-create the programs for yourself. Okay, so first thing is empathize. Second thing was designing and applying facilitation tools so that when you go inside the room with a process, without content, and come out of the room with the content written by the various stakeholders for you. Okay, then how do you do prototyping? Of course, if you are a large organization, then do experimentation with a small unit of yours and see what kind of results you are getting, how to bring necessary changes in that. Okay, so till now I have shared with you what intent L&D guy must have. Intent is very, very simple. That is double loop thinking. And the underlining of double loop learning is challenging the assumption. Design thinking, empathize with the stakeholders, and the crux in designing is empathizing with the various stakeholders and knowing and applying the tools of facilitation. Okay, and that's very, very, very important. One thing which helped the organization wheresoever I worked in my life, that was creating various platforms. Okay, that's the part of knowledge management. In today's world, each learning and development guy must know how to do knowledge management. As Runa was wondering how Maruti is creating a big, like library of knowledge or academy, that can only be done with the help of the principles which are applied in knowledge management. So L&D guy has to learn, understand what are the basic tenets of knowledge management. Okay, coming back to the main point, when we talk about ROI, I know that we are running short of time. When we talk about ROI, the most important thing is this: how well defined is the problem, number one. Number two, how well defined are the objectives of any intervention, and whether each objective can be written down with the help of a number or comparison in any way. If you are unable to find a number, believe me that you can't calculate ROI at all. You can't calculate ROI at all. And that's perfectly okay. In the book written by Jack Phillips, the name of the book is ROI Itself. He says that not all the programs, not all the interventions are meant to measure return on investment. If you know how to jot down, how to collect, one is like tangible, other one is intangible. What are the intangible outcome of this program? Then it's also okay. But tangible or intangible, benefit, they should be jotted down in the beginning of the program at the time of creating the conception, and that too with the agreement of the stakeholders. Because stakeholders walk into the room of L&D guy, he says, I want a program on leadership development. You say, I'm going to develop a robust program, robust intervention, and both of you never decide what's the meaning of robust. We quite often speak very vague language. Avoid that. Avoid that. And if it is going to be vague, it should be mutually accepted by you and the stakeholder. That is what is going to save your life in the long run. So friends, being there in L&D space is one of the noblest thing, I believe. I have been there for more than 24 years, and we get all kind of experiences there. Means people come and praise us. People, they say, yeah, we are not doing anything. But believe me, if you apply double loop learning, if you apply the principle of design thinking, if you bring clarity in the beginning itself, what can be measured and what can't be measured, objectives are clearly written, I know that you can do wonders everywhere in your life. Fine. So this is from my side. I believe more interesting would be if we pick some of the questions and start replying from our own perspective. Runaji, thank you very much for the time. Thank you.
Didn't I say that's going to be extremely, extremely energetic and powerful with loads of contribution? Look at the way we are poured with question, and I'm looking at Ritesh and thinking, how many questions can we take up? Because we have so many of them on Q&A and also here, so are you ready for it? And Mussarat-san, if you can also join us for the Q&A, we'll be really, really happy. I'm not going to align any question to anyone, but my humble request to ensure that we pick up all the questions. So maybe any one of you, unless you're too much prompted, another can join to respond. So I'm going to just pick up questions and share with you. I'm sure you've already seen them, but I'm just going to read it out to just structure it. Kindly respond to them, and if we see that our watch is ticking, which is really, really there, so why don't you also respond on the chats and the Q&A section, because we are overshooting the time. We always actually manage time, and Nitin, you had not done justice by probably sharing little. So I was already thinking how to come back to you. It's 7:07 already, and really, we restrained from extending our time. So Nitin, do you have a parting one sentence, and in the meanwhile, considering we normally finish at 7, may I request to all of you to respond to the Q&A section with your answers? Please write over there, and also on the chat section, look up by scrolling and respond to the questions people have shared. So one line from Nitin, since we didn't give you enough time, possibly, although the time was common, but you were short. So one liner from you, then we'll go back to Rahul and Ritesh to close the session. Mussarat-san, if you want to respond to some of the questions on the chat or the Q&A, I request you to kindly share your views. Don't dismiss the answers, the questions, so that multiple people can respond also. Yeah. So Nitin, do you want to share?
Sure, thank you. Thank you very much. And apologies that I had a different flow in my mind. But I think everybody talked really, really great, and there were great learnings. And we focused on how can we make it more effective. I think one thing that probably I can say is if that why is clear, then how becomes easier. And that why is about putting up a cadence there. So one of the wonderful things that we have in our organization is that learning is part of your performance appraisal. So 15% of your weightage of your performance appraisal comes from your learning activity of as individual, as a team leader, as a people manager, or probably an HOD. So I would say that we are talking a lot of good things. If you are able to go and put this kind of a process in your organization, make it part of the performance appraisal, give it a certain weightage, then automatically these things will be much easier to make it possible. That's all, Runa. Just wanted to take that much only. I think it's up the time. And we've already got amazing learnings from everyone. I've learned so much. Thank you.
So once again, kindly share your responses on Q&A because there are loads of them there while we are doing the closing session with the help of Ritesh and Rahul. So please continue, and thank you so much. You did a magic today, as it always happens with digital HR, but today it was actually one of the best session I attended. Thank you so much.
Super, fantastic. Thank you so much to all speakers and Runaji for the, it was a really power packed sessions and the best practices that we have learned in this entire sessions from various industries. Like, our speakers are from the manufacturing, IT, product company, infrastructure companies, and we really learn the great insight about the best practices, as well as the, I can say the L&D in 360 degrees, the kind of, the pointers that I jotted down. So we learn about the L&D strategies, how companies are strategizing the L&D stuff, then capabilities building, learning culture, learning trends, role-based learning, social learning, managing the learners' attentions, and the learning agilities. It's amazing thought has been discussed in the overall sessions. If you talk about Mussarat in our keynote sessions, it was a great inspirational journey has been derived is in Maruti Suzuki. Like, what are the kind of strategies has been implemented, and how currently in today they are driving the automobile industries by sharing his journey. It was really amazing. Sir has mentioned about the setting up the corporate universities with 4 schools, like, which covers the driver skillings, worker skillings. It covers the entire employee segments that has been covered in this entire academy. Sir, it was a really inspirational thoughts and the strategies that you have presented, and thank you so much for this. I'm sure the audience will take the inspirations from this, and it was a great learning. Yeah. I think there is some. Am I clearly audible? I think there was some echo. Yeah. So sorry. Yeah. Then I talk about Manikandan. It was really impressive thoughts, I can say, that, while showing the particular pictures on this particular slides, that, crafting the clear learning path, like skill 1, skill 2, and that mountain, like how, learners should reach on that particular, how they should craft the path for the learning and how they should reach on that. It was great, Manikandan. It was really impressive. Even the kind of thoughts and trends that you have shown upon some modern learning trends, like, video-based learning, social learnings, role-based learning. It was really impressive, Manikandan. Nitin sir, in the beginning, great, you started with the L&D strategies and the kind of, like, while crafting the L&D strategies, how to partnering with the business team and to define the ROI, like how should, people should achieve the ROI from the learning strategies. It was really amazing. And last point that you had mentioned about the building up the learning culture, and you had mentioned about the how. So that was really a great learning and insight that we have received. Ritu ma'am, amazing thoughts about that Sanjay spirit that you had mentioned about, like, self-awareness, self-management, self-learning. You really, crafted the thoughts, like, learning with the purpose in the organizations, and really inspirational that, internal coaching culture that you have developed with the 60+ internal coaches, and that, people from, like that, and it's kind of an, people ownership, people accountabilities kind of pointers that you had mentioned. It's amazing. Yeah. Girish sir, you started with the, learning is not multitasking. It's really important quote that, I am taking it out here, and it's really a great learning. And apart from this thing, very importantly, you talk about the learners' attentions for the learning purpose. Amazing. Like, this is really important nowadays, like, how the learner's attention should be mapped, and you are given really, amazing insight and thoughts on on this particular side, even the micro learning part and the learner's agility about the learn, unlearn, and relearn. Amazing. It was really, really great thoughts has been discussed over here. Kulveer Singh, sir, we talk about the really, kind of in terminologies and the new tools. It's kind of an awareness, like, a ACCI model. You talk about socializations, externalizations, combinations, and internalizations. Amazing. These are the kind of an awareness is really required in the current scenarios. Even you talk about the FSDP tools, DICO model, and then focus more on the emphasis and the design thinking. Amazing. I think these are the thoughts really helping us as well as to the audience also. And really, in the entire session, it was a great learning, and I'm sure the audience will take all these benefits and they use it for their own organizations. Thank you so much, audience, for coming and attending this particular sessions. Thank you so much. My team is giving the feedback link over here, so you can share your feedback.
Ritesh, you forgot to thank Runa ji, in fact,
Yeah, I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that point, actually. Yes. So, Runa ji, it's really, I think you're on mute.
I'm a family, so I think I'm fine.
No, but initially, like Runa ji, it's great moderations that you did. It's really you take out all the great insight from the speakers, and the way you have planned this entire webinar and crafted this particular topic with the talking points. It's really amazing. So it's this first time it is like 7:16, and we have many questions that we couldn't attend. I mean to say, the kind of a topic and the talking points that we have derived, it was really amazing, and it was a great moderations entirely. So thank you so much, Runa ji, and the entire speaker group. And as I was talking about the feedback link, my team is sharing the feedback link. So audience, please share your feedback so we can improvise our delivery as well as the next sessions based on your opinion, and we can come up with more and more such kind of topics for you, and share our possible knowledge, and get the kind of a right set of speakers. And also please stay tuned to digital HR social media properties like Facebook, LinkedIn, and also you get all the updates about the different kind of editorials that we get it from the HR stalwarts and the leaders, like articles, interviews, and many more videos also, and everything that you can get the insight. We have also recently launched master classes on the topic like future of work, interview master classes, competency mappings, and all. So these all are mentioned very clearly in our website, as well as my team has already shared the link. So you can inquire about this on digital HR team. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.